Hi, I'm Wendy Garrido, and I help 6- and 7-figure business owners show up more authentically in every aspect of their life. This video came out of the fact that it blows my effing mind how many people who are against the current administration are just paying their taxes without like a second thought. And when I bring it up to ask them about it, the number one response I get is, well, I don't want to get in trouble. I wouldn't say infuriating, but exasperating to me. So, first of all, the question I have for you, if you have not till now considered not paying your taxes this year as a form of protest against the current government policies, my first question for you is, where's the line for you? And I don't mean this in a smart-ass way. Like, legitimately, at what point would the government's actions be enough for you to decide that you're going to protest in this way or any way? Where's that line? Because evidently it's somewhere beyond American citizens getting deported to foreign countries in ways that they cannot be returned, or you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even going to go into all of the things that are happening right now. But if all of those things have not gotten you to the point where you're even asking yourself, why am I paying these taxes? What does it mean that I'm paying these taxes? What would it take for that to happen? Like, who would it have to happen to? How close to your own skin tone would it have to be? Or is it somebody that you would know personally? And I really don't mean to be like short or snarky about this. These are really fucking deep, profound questions that we all need to be asking ourselves. At some point, I found my line, right? I'm like, I have no fucking way. But where's your line? So, and we're not even talking about like risking your life or even a long-term prison sentence. The risks and costs associated with this form of protest are very low. In fact, the effort doesn't get any lower because it's not even asking you to do anything. It's asking you to not do something that you probably didn't want to do anyway, right? So it's not like you're doing a lot of work for this, but you're afraid of it. So I'm going to get into a few more details. Number one, I didn't know anything about tax resistance until about a month ago when I had my second or third conversation with someone who was starting to talk about paying their taxes this year, and I couldn't believe this. So I started to do some research, like, is this a thing? Yes, it's a thing. So to clarify, there's two separate things. Tax protesting is when someone believes that the government doesn't even have a right to tax them on things. I think it's kind of more of a libertarian agenda. I'm not an expert. I'm not even a beginner on a lot of political issues, so I don't know about that. But that's basically saying, like, I don't believe that I should be taxed, period. I believe that the government has the right to tax its citizens. However, I am choosing not to pay that tax because I am not in alignment with the policies of the current government. That's the one we're talking about here. Also known as tax strike. So going on strike, not paying taxes, that tends to be a form of tax resistance as opposed to tax protest. So it's not a lot of effort to not pay your taxes. Furthermore, you can just pay them next year, or in 2 years, or in 5 years. I mean, hell, when my dad passed away, he was about 10 years behind on his taxes. They're gonna charge him money, but he wasn't gonna go to jail over it. You're not gonna go to jail over it. You can pay your taxes 1 or 2 or 5 years down the road when, hopefully, the government policies are more in alignment with what you believe in and what you want to have happen in the world. So it's not even like a permanent thing. You're off the hook and the consequences are gone. So it's really low effort and relatively low risk. I mean, furthermore, the Trump administration wants to do away with income taxes anyway. So if all goes to hell and the current administration stays in power, you're probably not even gonna, well, number one, the IRS is being gutted, and number two, you're not even, they're gonna be giving up on asking for like income taxes. So in that situation, you're covered. And in the situation, which we hope is gonna happen, where things shift and we come back to, you know, a principled government that operates based on the Constitution that, at least in theory, honors the rights of its citizens, then you've done your act of civil disobedience might have been part of getting us there. And furthermore, that is the government, the IRS are gonna have far bigger fish to fry than you. And also they should be grateful for those of us who are trying to resist the current regime. So I really don't the risks, as I've said, not that high. The effort doesn't get any lower. The question is your fears, your values, and your point of power. So I want you to really, I invite you, if you so desire, to do some deep self-inquiry. When you think about performing an act of civil disobedience, what fears come up for you? Where do they come from? And what do you want to do about it? And how is that fear helping or keeping you from living in alignment with your values? That's number one. Number two, where is your line in the sand? And not really even just one line, like multiple lines, right? Like, how bad, what exactly needs to happen in order for you to decide that you're going to take this action, but what needs to happen for you to decide that you're going to take that action? Like when you're driving today, to school, to work, to the grocery store, ask yourself these questions. Does it have to happen in your neighborhood? Does it have to happen in your state? Does it have to happen to someone you know? It's not easy to know what to do. It's easy to be overwhelmed. It's easy to do nothing. It's easy to continue doing the work of filing your taxes. That's not doing nothing. That's actively doing something that is quite literally in support of the current regime. You're giving them money. So where are the lines? And what are your values? What do you take a stand for? And how high of a price are you willing to pay? And I'm not even saying, not everyone can or maybe should or needs to pay a super high price. But if you're not even willing to do the introspection and to actually get honest with yourself about why you're unwilling to do this very minor, very easy, very low risk act of civil disobedience, what you doing here? And I don't mean to be offensive, but get a fucking spine. Stop being a sheep, because somebody has to, and we're not just waiting to be rescued. And there's always more that we could be doing. We're all walking around with levels of guilt that we're either not doing more or not taking better care of ourselves. Show me somebody who isn't feeling that way. So I'm not saying you have to do everything, but you do have to fucking do something. And if you're not doing something, you're in support of it. There's a great video I saw that I'm going to do a reaction video on of this woman who's just slowly pushing this can of paint off of the table. And you got three options. Are you going to push it faster? Are you going to push against it? Or are you going to do nothing? But there's only two outcomes. Either the can falls off the table or it doesn't. So if you're not pushing against it, you're letting it happen. So doing nothing, you've heard it before, but this is where it comes down. The pedal hits the metal, what are you doing? Do something. Doing nothing is not okay. Unsubscribe if you're doing nothing. Find something to do. Something that you feel worked up enough about, frustrated about enough, shocked about enough, that it will fuel you to do something. Even if it's not something big, it doesn't have to be something big. It can be doing something by not doing something, not filing your taxes. That's something. It's better than nothing. So don't use the fucking excuse that there's too much to do or you don't know what to do, because here's a real simple thing. to not do, to take one less thing off of your plate if we need selfish motivations to do it, which we all do. But I didn't feel educated enough to talk about it, or informed. And recently this week, I got an email that had some great links to a website called Tax Strike, I think .info. We'll have links in the description. And I'm gonna walk you through and show you around the websites a little bit, because it's a really great, pretty comprehensive discussion and analysis, way beyond my impassioned soapbox discussion of kind of the risks and the possibilities and your options. So I felt greatly relieved when I discovered these resources as an option to send them to you. If you've already prepared your taxes, keep them prepared. You just don't have to submit them, but you'll have them ready in the future if or when you want to submit them. Or if you've already filed them, you don't necessarily have to pay them yet. Maybe you do still want to prepare them now so that in the future you don't have, while it's still fresh, you'll have them ready. This is not about getting out of the civil duty, right? Or paying your taxes. It's about protesting the current policies. So if you have time and energy and you want to get those ready so that you have them on hand, great, do that. I mean, you can even file these in the websites and resources I'm talking about. They talk about the pros and cons of either filing and not paying or just not filing at all. If you're like, but Wendy, I'm gonna get a refund. My question is, how badly do you need that refund? If you're broke and you really need the refund, then file them and take the money and find a different way to protest. I'm not saying that this is the only way or the right way or that you have to do it. But I am asking you to get real with yourself. If you're like, well, but I was gonna buy a new couch, or we were gonna go on a weekend getaway with that tax money, politely, pleasurably. Like, again, so you're saying that if there's a financial cost associated with your act of civil disobedience, it's not worth it? Where is it worth it? When is it worth it? How much money is it worth? And especially if you're someone who has expendable resources. Is that what it's called? My vocabulary is rough lately. All right, so I'm gonna switch over to walking you through these resources and these websites. Okay, so I just wanted to take a minute to walk you through these websites that offer great resources on tax resistance. So taxstrike.info, this is kind of the main hub that I found that has a lot of great resources. So you can read this, FAQs, get a better understanding of it. And then I think it was probably in the resources tab that I found, so you can continue to explore that if you want to. But somewhere on their website, I found the link to this National War Tax Resistance Coordinating Committee website, which also has a lot of great resources. So what I love here is that one thing I love about this site right now is that they're pointing out that you're focusing on the fucking risks of not doing tax resistance, but you're probably underestimating the One thing I really like about this website is that it is talking about the risks associated with not doing tax resistance, right? So yeah, there's a risk of financial penalties of not filing or paying your taxes. There's also fucking risks involved in just going with the flow and doing what you're supposed to do, right? You're not guaranteed that that's going to be any better for you in the long term. In fact, pretty high probability that it's not going to be. So yeah, here it talks about the inflated perceptions of the risk of refusing taxes, different methods having different risks. So that's a great thing to read through. And what I found, I think on that one probably, is this Practical War Tax Resistance #2 pamphlet, I guess is the best word for it. And so goes through philosophical reasons for filing and not filing. What is it, 16 pages, it's not huge. Practical benefits and drawbacks, factors to consider, like some of the IRS statutes, the risks, through it all, but I highly recommend you read it. But I really liked this quote that they end on, saying that the IRS has a huge collection process that lasts for years, and at every stage of that collection process, the resistor has a choice about what to do. So that's why I believe that it's really a one step at a time kind of thing, and that imagining the worst possible consequences before you even begin the process is paralyzing, and it doesn't let your conscience struggle with doubts one by one. For better or for worse, I've had to deal with the IRS quite a bit in recent years. Both, like I mentioned, because my dad was behind on his taxes many years, and also because I got audited. So I have perhaps a bit more familiarity than some people do, less than others. But it's true that the IRS sends you letters. They're not showing up on your door to arrest you. They're sending you letters. So if you decide that now you want to resist and you don't want to pay, you can do that, and you can make a different choice down the road, like I said. So to just go to the worst case scenario and use that as your excuse not to do anything, it's just a fucking excuse, because you can do something now that you can still change your mind at any point. All right, well, I think I've made my point clear. Oh, I also like that it goes through real life stories. And so this is a guy, this is almost a worst case scenario of someone who really pushed hard for a very long time, got convicted, and it still wasn't that bad. There's some good personal stories in here that I encourage you to read. Yeah, questions. So this is your one small, easy way. I encourage you to read this, educate yourself, make a decision, and fucking do something. Thanks for being here and listening. I'm super curious to continue the conversation and hear what your thoughts and feelings are about it. If you don't want to post on a comment below, then you can shoot me an email, wendy@wendygarrido.com. But we gotta do something, because otherwise you're one of the people doing nothing. And that's all I have for today. Okay. Well, until I walk you through the thing. Yeah, okay. I'm sure I've given you some things to think about. I hope we're still friends. Why do I hope we're still friends? Because I hope you're doing something about things. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you watched this. Oh, I missed the third point. Your point of power. So what fears come up for you around the idea of civil disobedience? 2, where is your line in the sand? It's a point of power. It's not a huge one, but it's a point of power that I have access to, that you have access to. But me creating this video, using my platform to encourage other people to do, is a stronger point of power that I have access to. Maybe you have a platform you could use. Maybe it's a one-on-one conversation that you have. Maybe it's something that you say to someone on the bus and you plant a seed about. Get them thinking about things differently. You have more power than you are giving yourself credit for. I'm not saying you have enough power to change it all by yourself, because you don't and I don't. But if we get into these, I love this quote from this pamphlet, because if we're just looking at, the worst case scenario and that's scary and we don't want that, it lets us escape the wrestling that needs to happen with our conscience of the smaller choices and decisions along the way. That needs to happen with our conscience of more power than you know. Where are you not exercising it? How can you exercise it? Not in a way that's gonna drain you and exhaust you necessarily, but in a way that you have a fire inside of you to do. If you don't know what it is, reach out to me. I will set up a time to talk to you and I will help you figure it out. Oh, we need to figure it out. Okay, that's all I have for you today. Let me know how it lands, what you're thinking, how you're feeling, how you're integrating these things, and what you're going to do to use the power that you do have access to live and speak and act in alignment with your values. That's what I want to know. Thanks. Take care.